Hi, this is Mark Hannaberry from Solidwood Machinery. I'm going to take a few minutes and show you the Maranaka straight knife grinder. This is the model MG500. It is a dual head, rough grinding and finish lapping grinder for straight knives up to about 20 inches long. Primarily for super surfacer blades, but it will grind and sharpen pretty much any blades for jointers, thickness planers, all that kind of thing. It does an absolutely fabulous job. The rough grinder alone probably does a better finished grind than most of the grinding shops you take your blades to. The lapping head will do a mirror finish micro bevel on the tip, set at 1 degree different than the grinding head. So I'll give you a brief explanation of the machine. Down here you have the cross travel motor. Up here you have the grinding motor and the lapping motor, and on the back here you have the coolant pump. This machine works in 3 modes: manual, semi-automatic, fully automatic. For the semi-automatic, fully automatic, you adjust the pre-settings here. For the manual, you use these buttons. You can adjust the blade angle, the grinding angle. I've got a preset here to 32 degrees for grinding the super surfaces, and here you've got a skew angle on the grinder, which is also set at 32. This is the adjustment screw for that, and the locking lever and the indicator here. On the side of the motors you have stops. These are adjustable stops up to a shut-off switch. So what they do is when the head retracts up, it hits the switch and switches off. So you can adjust how far up you want it to go out of the way to clear the blade. The same on this side. The adjustment screws here are all motor controlled, CNC controlled the speed. They come up through the top here, and I have indicators at 180 degrees so you can see how much they're moving. That's important when you're using the semi-automatic and full automatic modes. You have to put oil in these tubes in the filler cups when you start. Squirt a bit of oil on there and a bit of oil on the screw. And that one. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 cups and 2 screws. Now, there's also an oil bath here for the ground bedways. This is one of the older machines that has these ground cast iron precision ground bedways, which is really nice. The newer machines use the linear bearings and tracks, but I really like the precision ground cast iron ones. If this oil level down here is not high enough, you need to top up some oil, and you just put it in there and it'll flow down into that. That's to keep the beds lubricated. So, to sharpen your blades, you put these magnetic stops on here. Get those down out of the way a little bit, and put your knife in here. Move those stops up so you can run the knife up to it. And drop the front down, then you tighten these screws up to support the back of the blade. position. Snug these down. So you don't need to do these overly tight because these super surfacer blades are hollow ground on the back, so you don't want to crush it. Snug it down. It's supported with the two back-end screws here. And don't forget to remove your magnets. You'll be in trouble. As I mentioned, you have to remove them carefully. Plastic on here because it tends to spray a bit of water or coolant out of the workshop. The pump on the coolant pump is pretty good. That'll help keep some of the water down. I have one on that side also. So, turn the machine on there, okay, turn it on there, you see the lights flash, you get to choose manual, you're going to do the manual one and then you get to choose grinding or lapping. Over here you have the inch in feed button, which is to slowly feed the table in under there so you can set the height of the grinder. If you're going to do it in manual mode, use the inch in feed. You have up and down buttons, up for the grinder, up for the lapper, and this is the down buttons for each. You have a light and a fluid pump. This is the fast movement up and down. This is the slow movement. That's very slow movement for the final settings. So if you press the inch in, that will bring the blade in under the grinding head, and then you set it on the fast, bring the grinding head down. Then you want to turn it to the slow feed, turn the grinder on, and you can put the inch in. Just barely hear it touching. I usually then back it up just a little so it's not touching, and then turn on the fluid pump. Okay, you can turn on the fluid pump to just one, or you can turn it on to both, either one or both. I'm going to leave it on both right now. Now, when you're ready to go, hit the feed button. What you see, it'll tracks back and forth, and now you manually control the rate of descent by pressing the down button on the slow feed. What you'll see is it turns that screw around. As it lowers the grinding head, you hear it start to do the grinding. You just touch that a little each pass so it comes down a little bit. You do that till it's cutting a nice even pass all the way across, and until you get a little wire edge on the back of it. That's how you do the rough grinding. When you're finished with the rough grinding, you want to turn the up and down button onto fast and run the grinder up out of the way once you're finished. You can do a few idle passes where you just run it back and forth without lowering the grinding head, just to clean it up. Okay, so now wind it up out of the way. It'll automatically switch off when it hits the stop at the top there. Okay, that's your rough grinding done. That is actually a pretty slick finish in itself. You can, if you like, just touch that up with an 8000 grit stone and you'd have a pretty razor sharp blade there, probably sharper than you've seen. Okay, so if you want to do the honing, the same setup, you run the inching, turn it on, choose set, manual, use the inching button to run the blade under the hone. I'm going to turn the pump off for now because it's easier to see with the pump off. I can look under here, turn it on to the fast and run the lapping head down. Then turn it on to the slow. I'm going to turn the lapper on. So it's turn the lapping head round. You'll hear when it touches. This is a very fine adjustment. So tap it back up a little, turn the pump on and turn the feed. You notice it goes a lot slower on the lapping passes, and then you just inch it down a touch. You can hear it. When you've done a few passes of that, you just let it go a few passes without adjusting the head down. And then turn it to the fast setting and run the head up out of the way to finish. And you see it'll turn round, spinning around pretty fast, and it'll go up till it hits the stop button there and turns that off. Then you can turn the pump off. And turn the stop, hit the stop. Okay, that's the grinding and lapping done on the manual settings. For the semi-automatic, you set the preset stops here. This is the clearance. So what will happen is when you set on automatic to start, if you're going to do the grinding, you choose the grinding or lapping, it'll just do one. What it does is it moves the table in under the grinding head, brings the grinding head down to touch the top of the blade, and then we'll back it up whatever you preset the clearance on here. So I've got it preset at 50, it says here it's set at 70 from the factory, but I found that comes up too far and you've got a bunch of wasted passes where it's not touching the blade. So you can play around with that to suit yourself. I've set it so it comes down, backs up a little, starts the cross feed and is pretty much touching the blade from the get-go. This is the amount of descent that it will do during the automatic or semi-automatic operation. So this represents the turns of the feed screw to feed the grinding wheel down into the blade. So if you set it at one turn here, this is the number of passes that the table is going to slide under the head. So if I set 4 passes, it'll do 4 passes under the head and 1 turn. So it'll do a quarter turn of that screw on each pass. That determines how much metal you're going to be grinding off in each pass. So you want to play around with that a little bit, but 1 to 4 is not a bad ratio. To grind a dull blade, you probably have to take a lot more than 4 passes, so you maybe want to multiply this and do 8 to 12, and the same with this. If you did 12 here, you put 3 here. And then this screw will turn a quarter turn each pass. This is then the idling passes. You can set how many idling passes. The idling passes are how many passes it will do without turning the screw down. So once you finish grinding, you do a bunch of idling passes and it cleans up and just kisses the blade to do a nice clean finish on it. So the way you do on a semi-automatic is you choose one that you want to do. So if you turn this on, choose the semi-automatic, it'll show you how many passes you're going to do here, and it'll tell you what operation you're doing at the time here. It will turn on the pump and do the whole job of what you choose, and then it'll beep to show you that it's finished. So if you can choose grinding, we've got the presets, and then we click start. You see it moves the blade in under. You see the spinning the adjustment down and winding the blade down. Turns the pump on, turns the grinding motor on, and then we'll start the cross feed. Now see, it's just kissing the top of it, and that's because I only set the clearance at 50. Then it'll turn, counts down the passes, tells you what it's doing, it'll show you how much it's turning the screw around. Once it's done cross passes, now it'll show you it's doing the idle passes. Of course, I don't have very many passes set up just for this demonstration. So that's the idling passes, and it turns off to show you that it's done. Now it'll reset to the stop here. Turn that off, turn it back on, and now you click semi-automatic. It's going to take it right back to the stop, do the lapping, and then start. It comes down at the slower speed, spins down on the fast speed to bring the lapping head down. It will turn the pump on. Then it'll turn the lapping head motor on and the cross feed. It shows you what operation is taking place. Lappings, 3 passes, and count down the passes. 2 passes to go in the lapping. Pass left. Now it's doing the 2 idling passes. Turns off. The fully automatic pass is very simple. You press set and you press start. It will do the grinding, pump, turn on the grinder, and then the cross feed. We'll go through the same sequence but for both the grinding and lapping. We'll do the cross passes, countdown grinding, switch to idling passes,